Masha's Tails.
Some people think that decorating a Christmas tree for the holidays is a piece of cake. Not so, my dear friends. If decorating is not going the way it should, do you know what can happen? I'll tell you about it.
The Wolf and the Fox.
In a village far, far away, there was a man, a local fisherman, and his wife. And then in the forest nearby lived a very sly wolf who was always sneaking over and stealing fish from the fishermen. When it was Christmas time, the man decorated the Christmas tree, but he didn't feel like just sitting around waiting for Christmas to come. So he said to his wife, "I'm going fishing, dear." The fox overheard that the fisherman was going fishing. So this very sly fox ran out of the forest on the road and lay down and pretended to be absolutely not alive. When the man saw the fox, he said, "That's good, my wife can use the fur for her coat." The man threw the fox into the sleigh, and together they drove up the man's favorite spot. The fisherman sat on the ice by the opening and started fishing up there. He was sitting there for a long time and even started to doze off. He wasn't having any luck catching fish. But the impatient fox couldn't wait, and she sat up and started to watch from the sleigh on the sly. Suddenly, someone came up and screamed behind the fox's back, "What do you think you're doing?" This startled the fox, who almost died of fright and grabbed her chest, but it was only the wolf. "Have you gone mad, Wolf? You can't go threatening people, foxes, like that. Why are you screaming? Don't you see we're fishing here? The first fish is for me. Then the second one is for me," said the wolf, jumping up and down with joy. No. The second fish is also for me. And the third one, the fisherman, is mine. You go find yourself a fisherman and make him fish for you." The wolf got really sad. "Where can I find myself a fisherman, and especially at Christmas time?" "Then catch fish for yourself," whispered the fox. "But I don't know how to fish," said the wolf. "Why do you come to me with your problems? What's there to know? Throw your tail into the water and sing the fish a happy song, so they swim over." So the wolf left empty-handed. He found an opening, threw his tail down into it, and then sang. "The Christmas tree grew in the pond, it grew all tall and green." The fish were celebrating Christmas in the water, just like the humans. They even had a cake, but what they didn't have was a Christmas tree. Then they saw the wolf's tail grow bigger in the water and started to look like a Christmas tree. Only it was gray and upside down and on the ceiling. So the fish started decorating the gray Christmas tree. The wolf felt something sticking to his tail under the water, so he became happy and sang even louder. "We decorate the Christmas tree and start to celebrate." And the fish became happy too and started dancing around their decorated Christmas tail. "It's time to take the catch out," the wolf decided to pull his tail out. He pulled once, nothing happened. He pulled again, but the tail wouldn't budge. That's when the wolf started to panic. "Someone help me! My tail is all fished out. I can't pull it out." You know what really happened to the poor wolf's tail? While the wolf was singing, the water froze solid, and his tail got stuck in the ice. The fox heard the wolf screaming and thought, "Did he really catch the fish? Now he will eat it all and leave nothing to me." So she forgot about the fisherman and ran to the wolf. Together they tried to pull the tail out of the water, but they couldn't do it. "Okay, fox," said the wolf. "Go get the fisherman. You see we're stuck. We need help." The fisherman grabbed the fox grabbed the wolf grabbed his tail, but they couldn't pull it out. The fisherman called his wife called the dog called the cat called the mouse. All together they pulled and pulled with all their might, and the tail came out of the water. Of course, there were no fish on the tail, just a bunch of Christmas decorations. And that moment, the fireworks started. That's what I'm telling you. During the holidays, you must decorate the Christmas tree properly. It's more important than tasty cakes and sweet candies.
Masha's Tails.
I'm looking at myself in the mirror. Wow, I'm so beautiful. But not everyone is so lucky. Remember, beauty is only skin deep, and that means that the true beauty comes from within. The fairy tale I'm about to tell you is all about that. Once upon a time in a far, far away land,
Frog Princess.
there was a palace, and in that palace lived a king, and that king had 3 sons. The king and his 3 sons played all sorts of games together, like tag and hide and seek. Then his sons grew up and, well, they got bored, so they decided to get married. The king had to figure out how to find 3 brides for his 3 sons. Finally, he had a great idea. The king takes the princess out into the open field and hands each one of them a bow and arrow. Shoot away, he tells them. The sons don't want to disobey their dad, so they shoot arrows in different directions. And then the king tells them, follow your arrow. Now this is important. Wherever your arrow landed is where you will find a buried treasure. I mean, not a buried treasure, a blushing bride, of course. The 2 oldest brothers find 2 ordinary brides. But when the younger brother, whose name is Prince Ivan, shoots the arrow, it keeps flying and almost hits a bunny. The bunny gets scared and starts running and steps on a chicken. The chicken gets so upset with her feathers all ruffled that she lays an egg. But it's no ordinary egg. It's made of pure gold. The egg starts rolling and rolls over the mouse's tail. The mouse tries to run away. She swipes his tail and the egg falls and breaks. And guess what is in the egg? A frog! Prince Ivan sees the frog and can't believe his eyes. Impossible! How can a boy marry a frog? Then the prince starts crying. But the frog tells him, don't cry, my Prince Charming. I will lay another golden egg for you. Oh no! The frog tells him, don't cry, my Prince Charming. If you marry me, I will be a very good wife for you. Prince Ivan sighs, but he really has no choice. There's nothing he can do. So he brings the frog home. And she starts living at the palace, like a pet, like a turtle or a guinea pig. Prince Ivan takes good care of her. He catches flies for her. And the frog sings to him, crow, 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 crow. I'm going to have to cut the story short because I don't have all day and night. So the king announces the 3 weddings. The eldest son will marry the daughter of a nobleman, the middle son will marry the daughter of a wealthy man, and the youngest son will marry a frog. The king also orders each of the 3 brides to prepare all sorts of delicious treats for the big wedding feast. Prince Ivan becomes really sad, and the frog asks him, why are you so sad, my darling? Well, how could I not be sad? You obviously don't know how to cook or bake. I have to make treats for myself. But the frog says to him, don't be sad, my darling. Tomorrow is another day. So please go to sleep and don't worry, I will figure out something. When Prince Ivan wakes up in the morning, he sees a 3-tiered cake on the table with a groom made of chocolate and a bride made of caramel. This makes Prince Ivan so happy that he's ready to kiss the frog. But she tells him, oh, no. I'm not kissing you before the wedding. You'd better take this cake and hurry over to the palace. I'll be right over. Everyone is already gathered at the palace. When they see the cake, they want to gobble it all up. And then all of a sudden, there's a huff and there's a puff. Everyone gets scared and looks at Prince Ivan. Prince Ivan also gets scared. He looks out the window and says, oh, it's just my frog riding over in her pumpkin carriage. Then everyone calms down and starts to force all the brides and grooms to kiss. That's what they do at the wedding. They kiss and eat cake. So Prince Ivan kisses his frog, and she turns into such a beautiful princess that everyone just stands there with their jaws on the floor. And the moral is this: you need to take good care of all the pets that live in your home. Take really good care of them. This will make your pets feel so wonderful and happy that it could turn out to be the beginning of a really beautiful friendship.
Masha's Tails.
No, my little toy friends, I can't play with you right now. I am protecting the vegetable garden from all the pests. Okay, never mind. I wouldn't want you to get bored. So, let me tell you a fairy tale.
Jack and the Beanstalk.
There was a poor widow who lived in a village, and she had a son named Jack. The widow and her son spent all day long digging in their vegetable garden. Whatever grew in that vegetable garden, that was what they ate. Then the time came for Jack to get married. There was as many maids in the village as there were carrots in the patches. Only all of them turned Jack down. It's no wonder they refused to marry him. Who would have wanted a groom like that? His pants were torn and had patches. His shoes had holes in the soles, and his hat was as flat as a pancake. No one would marry him. No one would even go out with poor Jack. The widow knew he needed nicer clothes, but there was no money. So she thought about it. She thought very hard and very long, and then she said, "Jack, my dear boy, if you want to get married, you need to look presentable. I've thought long and hard about this, and there's nothing left to do but to sell our spotted cow. With the money you get, you can buy yourself a new suit." So Jack put a leash on the cow and headed to the market. But the road was long and tiring. He was halfway to the market when he got tired and lay down under a tree to rest. Just when he started to doze off, he felt something poking at his side. He opened his eyes and saw an old maid. Jack was very surprised, and the old man told him, "My boy, let me buy this spotted cow of yours, and in exchange for your cow, I'll give you a nice little bean." To tell you the truth, Jack really didn't want to walk for miles and miles to the marketplace to sell his spotted cow. So, without further ado, he agreed to this deal. Jack and the old man shook hands. The old man got the cow, Jack got the bean, and pleased with himself, he headed for home. When the widow saw her son without the cow and without a suit, she got very, very scared. She thought he'd been robbed by the highwayman. But Jack told her, "Don't you worry, mother. Just look what I got in exchange for your old spotted cow. I got a brand new little bean, and I have never seen a nicer shade of green." The widow just threw her hands in the air and said, "Oh, what a simpleton you are, my son." Then she grabbed the bean and threw it out the window. Jack was really surprised. Why did she get so upset? He yawned and quickly went to sleep. When Jack woke up in the morning and looked outside his window, he couldn't believe his eyes. Overnight, the bean had grown up to a humongous, enormous bean tree. The bean tree was so big and tall that its top reached all the way to the clouds high up in the sky. Jack could hear a song coming down from the clouds. He was curious to know who could be up there singing the song, so Jack started to climb up the bean tree. He fell down once. He fell down twice. Should he give it another try? Why bother? "Hey, you! Up there!" shouted Jack. "Can you tell me how to climb this bean tree? For some reason, I kept falling and falling." There was no answer for a while, and then a strange-looking rope was thrown down to him from above. Jack looked closely and saw this rope resembled a girl's braid. Jack was so happy, he gave the braid a good yank, and a beautiful princess fell down and landed right next to him. As it turned out, it was really her braid. The princess straightened out her crown, curtsied, and said, "I probably have bruises all over my body because I slept on all those beans. Thank you, my good friend, for bringing me down off the tree. I am so grateful. I am ready to be your bride." That's how it came to be that Jack got married, became a king, and got half a kingdom too. That's what I'm telling you. Maybe I will grow something very interesting in my vegetable patch too, just like Jack. But I have to make sure no pests get into my beautiful garden. So I'll say goodbye now. I have to go stand guard.
Masha's Tails.
Oh, how I love to go visit Bear at his home. I'll take you with me one day. But for now, let me tell you a very scary fairy tale about guests. Once upon a time, there was a girl and her name was Red Riding Hood.
Red Riding Hood.
She used to wear the riding hood at some point, but now she just wore a red hat in the winter and even in the summer. One day, her mother asked her to go visit her sickly grandmother and take her some tasty goodies. So the girl took her basket with the meat pies and went on her way. She was walking along the path in the forest, and the meat pies were smelling so good that the girl said to herself, "I'll just sit nearby and I'll eat one pie." Just then, someone or something rolled by her and then boom and right into the tree. Guess who it was? It was Gingerbread Head. He sat there shaking his head. Well, he was shaking it all over because it was all Gingy had. No legs, no arms. Red Riding Hood picked him up, and Gingerbread Head said just like a human, "Please don't eat me, little girl, and I will sing you a song." "Why would anyone want to eat you? You've been rolling over dirty roads in the forest. I'd better take you to my grandmother. Maybe she'll have some use for you." Red Riding Hood dusted Gingerbread Head off and put him in the basket. Big Bad Wolf, who was hiding in the bushes nearby, heard everything. He decided to eat all of them, Hoodie, Granny, and even Dirty Gingy. Grandmother was at home in bed feeling sickly. She was very surprised when someone knocked on her door. "Who's there?" asked Grandmother. "It's your granddaughter, Red Riding Hood. I've come to visit you, Grandmother," roared Big Bad Wolf. "Oh, my poor granddaughter is probably also sick. Her voice is usually so sweet, but now it's so hoarse." That's what Grandmother thought, and then she said, "Just pull the cord by the door, dear girl, and then the door will open." That's what the wolf did. The door opened, and what happened next was terrible. Big Bad Wolf gobbled up Grandmother all at once and spit out her glasses and bonnet. Big Bad Wolf licked his lips and got ready for Red Riding Hood. He pretended to be her sickly grandmother, got in her bed, covered himself with a blanket, put on her bonnet, stuck her glasses on his nose, and then heard the knock on the door. "Who's there?" asked Big Bad Wolf. "It's your granddaughter, Red Riding Hood. I've come to visit you." "Just pull the cord by the door and the door will open," said Big Bad Wolf Grandmother. The girl came in and put the basket with Gingerbread Head on the floor. When she saw her grandmother, she couldn't believe her eyes. The old lady looked really sickening. Her face had gotten all dark and was covered with funny fur. Red Riding Hood sat down on the little chair and said, "Grandmother dear, what happened to you? What big hands you have." "The better to hug you with, my adorable little girl." Big Bad Wolf smiled very wide. "Grandmother dear, what big teeth you have." "The better to eat you with," roared Big Bad Wolf and swallowed Red Riding Hood. Gingerbread Head got really scared and screamed very loudly. He jumped up from the basket and Big Bad Wolf caught him like a ball and gobbled him up too. Big Bad Wolf was lying in bed crying and not moving. He ate a bunch of people and a pastry. It's no wonder he had such a bad stomach ache. His belly swelled up like a balloon. It got very big and round, then boom, it burst. Everyone jumped out. Hoodie, Granny, and of course Gingy. Grandmother and granddaughter were jumping up and down with joy, and Gingerbread Head rolled up to the window, jumped up on it, and ran away. He was rolling down the trail in the forest and met Sly Fox. Gingerbread Head sang his usual song to Sly Fox, but Fox told him, "I am so old I can't hear you well. If you come and sit on my snout, I'll hear what you're talking about." Gingerbread Head jumped on Sly Fox's snout and sang. The fox opened her mouth. Boom, she ate him. That's a lesson for Gingerbread Head. You're eaten before, weren't you? Why are you jumping on the snout of some fox you don't know? It's a lesson for Red Riding Hood. You can't tell strangers you meet in the forest where you are going. But the main thing is, you must visit your relatives often. If you see a wolf, you will know that's not your grandmother.
Masha's Tails.
Why you're looking at me like that? Oh yes, I can see it in your eyes. You are judging me like a book by the coveralls. But even an ugly duckling can have a very beautiful soul. And now I will tell you a fairy tale about that.
Cinderella.
Once upon a time, there was a girl who lived in the kingdom far, far away. She really wanted to go to the ball at the palace. The problem was that she never had the time off because her evil stepmother made her do all the chores around the house. All work and no play makes us dull kids. And it's all because of these horrible housework. Cinderella did all the laundry. She washed all the pots and pans. And every day she cleaned the fireplace by taking out the ashes. By the way, that's what Cinderella means, little ashes. In the meantime, the king had decided to throw another ball at the palace. And not just any ball. He invited everyone. He said there would be an all-you-can-eat buffet of cookie, candies, and ice cream. And that there would be dancing all night long. Cinderella became very happy, but then she became very sad. That's because she only had one dress to wear, and it was very dirty. So she had no dress to wear to the fancy ball of the royal palace. And then suddenly, the good witch showed up and said, "I am your godmother, and I will help you. I'm going to turn your old tattered house dress into a beautiful ball gown, the most fashionable one of the season. But there's one thing you must remember. When the great tower clock at the palace strikes midnight, you must leave at once because your beautiful ball gown will turn back into a house dress." Cinderella was so happy as she checked out her reflection in the frying pan. Then came the evil stepmother. "Why do you think you're going all dressed up? We have a whole bunch of nuts in the house that need to be cracked, so get to work right now." That's when Cinderella grew really, really sad. To crack that many nuts, you can ruin and break all your teeth doing that. How can you smile at the ball if you have no teeth? Then the good witch showed up again and gave Cinderella something that looked like a wooden Pinocchio, with a nose this long and a mouth that was this wide, and the teeth of a hippopotamus. "And who could this weird nut be?" asked Cinderella. "He is not a weird nut. He is a nutcracker," replied the good witch. "Look how well he can crack the nuts. Crack, crack. It's all done." Cinderella was able to crack all the nuts right away. And she liked the nutcracker so much that she decided to take him with her to the ball. Cinderella was walking down the road when suddenly she saw the king. "Oh, your majesty," said Cinderella, "why are you so sad?" The king sighed heavily and told her, "How could I not be sad?" I had a ball at the palace, but then the rats showed up and threw me out. Just then the Nutcracker stood up and said in a very human voice, "Don't you cry, Your Majesty, I will come to your rescue." He started to play his nose like an elephant playing a trombone. And he played such good music that the king started to dance along to it. As soon as the rats heard the sounds of the trombone, all their willpower simply disappeared. And the king took the broom and swept them out of the palace. Everyone was so happy. Then Cinderella gave the Nutcracker a big kiss right on his long nose. Suddenly, sparkles began to appear everywhere. And the Nutcracker started to transform into the prince. And when his transformation was over, he said, "Up until now, I was under a spell. And now, my dear Cinderella, I am so happy that I would like to offer you my hand, my heart, and also these pretty glass slippers." Just then, the tower clock at the palace began to strike midnight. Cinderella got scared that the prince would stop loving her when he saw her in her old house dress. But the prince didn't care about that at all, because his love for Cinderella was real. That's what I keep telling you. You may judge someone by their coveralls at first, but you fall in love because of their great inner qualities.